Hi everybody, it's Miss T. Welcome back to SVUDL's lecture series. Today's lecture is going to be on roadmaps and signposting, the GPS of all of your debate rounds. And there are just two phrases that we're going to talk about that you do before you speak and or during your speech to help yourself, the judge, your opponents, and the debate stay organized. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between a roadmap and a signpost and then show you some examples. So what I just did actually is an example of a roadmap. A roadmap is an outline given by the speaker before your speech starts to indicate what major positions are going to be developed or rebutted or presented and in what order they're going to go. The roadmap is usually not timed. It is not part of the speech, but it is sort of the GPS. It's like in 200 feet, turn left, right? We all know the GPS sort of gives us these warnings ahead of time. So roadmaps in your head should be attached with that. They are the GPS of your speech. And so if you are a negative team, your roadmap, the first roadmap that the negative team is going to do is actually going to happen in the 1NC, because that's the first time that the negative is going to get to present some bulk cases. A roadmap for 1NC might sound something like this. Judge, first I'm going to answer the off-case harms and then solvency, and then I'm going to run a disad and a counterplan. That might be the example of a roadmap that you might hear in a 1NC. For instance, in JV or varsity, on negative 1NC, roadmap might sound like, Judge, I'm going 3 off and 2 on case, first to solvency, then to inherency. And in other words, all you're doing is telling them, I'm going to run 3 different separate off-case arguments, like a counterplan, topicality, and a disadvantage. And then I'm going to go back onto the affirmatives 1AC, and I'm going to hit their harms and their inherency. And basically, the roadmap has a couple purposes. First, why you do it is because it helps you stay organized. So you know, okay, I said I'm going to talk about these 4 things. And as I'm debating, I can like refer back to that. Like, did I actually hit solvency? Did I hit the disad? Did I hit the counterplan? In some cases, if you are doing this, it allows you to pre-flow. So let's say you are the affirmative team here who just heard their roadmap, okay? And their roadmap was, and I'm just jotting this down to make it remind myself, 2 off case and on case would be harms and inherency, I think is what I said. So if you are now the affirmative team, you can kind of pre-flow. In other words, you can be like, oh, again, I'm the affirmative team. I'm like, oh, they're going to run 2 off case and they're going to go to harms and they're going to go to inherency. So I'm going to grab a clean sheet of flow paper for 1 off case. Then I'm going to take another clean sheet of flow paper for 2 off case. Then hopefully what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my flow that I had that had the affirmative part on it. Okay, so see, this was the affirmatives speech. This is the 1NC. I didn't get to flow it. And theoretically, what I'm going to be able to do is if I hear them say, okay, they're going to go back to this, I'm going to go ahead and put that other sheet in order behind it. And then last, whatever their, whatever their other argument is if it's inherency or something is down here. So when I get up and when I'm flowing, I have my off case, my second off case, and then my case arguments all ready to go. The most important part of why we do this, though, is not for necessarily the debaters, but for the judge. So it's important that the judges know where you're going to go around. For instance, if you are this person again and you told your judge in the 1NC, I'm going to read 2 off case and then harms and then inherency of the ass, the judge is going to do the same thing. They're going to pull out 2 pieces of paper. They're going to get ready to take notes. Then they're going to pull out their flow from the rest of the debate, and they're going to put that on the bottom, and they're going to be like, okay, they're going to talk about this one first and then this one. Now, here's the thing. If you tell the judge that you are going to run 2 off case and then harms and inherency, run 2 off case harms and inherency. Don't debate all over your flow, grab arguments from the bottom, talk about something else. Follow your roadmap. Your roadmap is the way that the judge stays with you, that you know that they're there and they're present and they're getting all those arguments down. And without that, it's hard for you to know if the judge is really with you. So you want to make sure that if you give a roadmap, you follow your same roadmap. The other thing is that it makes it more effective overall for you as a debater to know which effective argument is going to go in the limelight, in the top, for instance. So if I'm debating and I know, okay, this is my dissad and this is my counter plan, and my counter plan is a stronger one, I'm going to put that first, okay? And so it helps me sort of figure out all of those pieces, but staying organized, okay? Now, the question is, how do you do it? What does a good roadmap sound like? Well, let's imagine again, I'm this person, okay? My roadmap does not sound like this. And I'm going to show you on my fingers the seconds that it would take. So this is before the round. This is before the time starts. Here's not what to do. Hi, Judge. Today, I am going to talk about the China dissad. I'm going to talk about the topicality argument substantial. I'm going to talk about the harms of the case. I'm going to talk about the inherency of the case and about how it is not together. I'm going to talk, okay, pause, right? So that was about 30 seconds. I counted, I was trying to count on my fingers. It's really hard to count and talk, by the way. But that's too long. That is not what it should sound like. For a roadmap, it should be under 15 seconds. Now, I know that sounds like a really short amount of time, but the reality is that the roadmap shouldn't be extensive. It should be clear. So the roadmap should be 1 or 2 sentences, tops, about what you're going to talk about. So it may sound like this one. I'm going to do 2 off, Judge, and then I'm going to do harms and inherency. You may be affirmative. Maybe you're not negative at all, okay? Maybe you're affirmative. Now, when would be the first time that the affirmative would give a roadmap? We know for certain that the 1 AC, it wouldn't happen there because we know what's in that. So let's look next to the 2 AC, which is the next time that the affirmative team will be able to give a roadmap, because that's the next time they have something that they're going to be talking about sort of in an order, okay? Now, the 2AC roadmap is an important one because it's going to do 2 things. It's going to tell the judge, 1, if you're going to answer the neg first or extend your arguments first, or if you're going to extend arguments first, then answer the negative. Again, giving you a chance and the judge and everybody else to put their flows in order. So a 2AC roadmap might sound something like this. Judge, I'm going to answer the dissad and the counterplan, then I'm going to case. And when I say I'm going to case, I really mean the affirmative hip. So I'm going to go back to the affirmative case. So they might start with whatever, Judge, I'm going to go DA, then counterplan, then case, okay? And that simply means, and if you want to break down here, okay, I'm going to go dissad, then counterplan, then case solvency first, then harms. Okay, so maybe I'm going to answer the negatives, answers to my solvency first, and talk about why my solvency is good, right? Why they didn't win that argument. And then I'm going to talk about my harms and how they outweigh. But again, the sentence is really short. Judge, I'm going dissad, then counterplan, then case, from harms to solvency, or whatever it's going to be. And that's a good example of one for a 2AC. As the debate goes on, your roadmap's going to change to what is going to happen. If you're the 1 or the 2 NC, your roadmap may be shorter. Judge, I'm only going to talk about the dissad and the counterplan. Why? Because your partner, who's the 1 NR, is going to talk about case, okay? But again, it should be as short as possible, and it should not be a lot of words and a lot of convoluted arguments. It's just the outline, okay? Remember, this isn't part of your time speech, so you want the judge to not be annoyed also by the fact that you are trying to tell them where you're going to go. But again, just remember that some examples are, Judge, I'm going to go to harms, then solvency, then to the dissad. Very simple, very clean, but you'd be surprised how much it helps you stay in order. Whatever you do, do not start debating here. That is not the place for the debate. It is just an outline to keep you organized and sort of keep your speech flowing with good transitions in it and everything, okay? Now, why? Why is this important? Why is it valuable to roadmap when you're debating? Well, the longer you keep the judge engaged in each of your arguments, the better the chance of you being victorious in a round. For instance, if the judge is not with you and you've taken your dissad sheet and you said one thing on that, and then you flipped over to your inherency sheet, they had to find their sheet to put it on there, then you went back to your counterplan sheet, they're all over the place. Your arguments are all over the place. They're not on the flow. They're not in any way that the judge can really look at their piece of paper and be with you. So strategically and competitively, it's really smart to do a roadmap. It's really easy to do one, and it gives you an edge that you really want. So it makes sense if the judge knows where you are debating, then they can put your arguments there. If they don't, it's a toss-up. And particularly if you're not signposting, which we're going to talk about next, it's really hard for the judge to sort of know where you are, okay? So let's try it. I'm going to pause for a second. I want you to write and say with your peers, okay, a 4-bullet roadmap for this following speech, okay? And I'm going to put up some of the things that are run. And I want you, again, it could be you and your partner that you're sitting with. It could be you and someone else in the room. But here is the speech that I want you to give a roadmap for in your group. And I'm going to pause on my end and give you a second to do it with the group that you are with. We're just going to practice it together. Here is the speech. Okay, so it says on case, it's going to be harms and solvency, and then off case is going to be a China disad and a consult counter plan. Okay, so what I want you to do with your peers for a second is take about 3 minutes, come up with the roadmap for that, and deliver it to each other, okay? I'll give you a second. How was that? Okay, not too easy again. Remember, keep it simple, keep it short, but keep it concise, because then again, the judge will follow along with you, okay? So just a brief reminder and to wrap up, it is the outline before the debate speech that's not timed, that should be under 15 seconds, to tell the judge and your opponents where you're going to go in the debate. What are your arguments? What is the order? And what position sort of in your talking is it going to happen? Again, remember, follow it during your speech. Don't give a give a roadmap and then say other things. And if you do that, the strategic value to you is that everybody else will know where you are, and you'll be more likely to win your debate round, because if people can follow your arguments clearly, then they can really attach themselves to the argument. Which brings us to our second half of our conversation today. The first half, again, about roadmaps, which I should be clear, just like in a GPS, just like before you get started, right? A GPS says to you now, which is kind of scary for Miss T, who's kind of old, but the GPS, if you punch in something, it'll be like, you're on the fastest route. It's going to take you 48 minutes, including traffic and the 12 accidents that are on the side of the road. Right? And you'll be like, whoa, how did you know that? Okay. But along the way, the GPS goes, in 200 feet, turn left. In 800 feet, turn right. I guess it doesn't say 800, but you get the idea, right? There are these phrases that happen after you've told me where I'm going, how long it's going to take, what things I'm going to encounter. Along the way, there are times where you say, hey, are you with me? Hey, you made the wrong turn. Or, of course, the infamous one, rerouting, right? And it doesn't even say that, right? It doesn't warn you. So signposting is a lot like the GPS's in-between conversation with you, okay? It's different from a roadmap that it happens during your speech. Now, let me give you some examples of what that looks like, because that's a little different from your roadmap. Your roadmap, again, is your overall map of where you're going, how long you're going to get there, everything else, okay? Signposting is when you actually would just be saying during your speech, and again, I'm going to pretend I'm debating, okay? And I am pulling out the 1AC, the Human Rights 1AC, okay? So I am the affirmative. I didn't need to give a roadmap. Everybody knows that it's inherency, harms, plan, solvency for the 1AC. That's the order I'm going to read it. Nobody needs to know that. However, during my speech, as opposed to reading like this, so this is my page, if you can see it here. There's nothing really here starting my 1AC. It doesn't tell me that this is the first page. I just kind of inherently know it. Maybe you've switched the first page. Some people that I've been doing their things with will start with a different card for their first page or whatever. This is a harms card, so it probably wouldn't be my first page anyway. This is probably my second page. My heresy card isn't here. So this is, like, say I'm on my second page. I read a heresy. Instead of just starting, if you can see this first word here, it says specifically. So you imagine that I just finished reading my last heresy card. I do not do this. Specifically, labor rights are under attack by companies, okay? What I do instead is give that in 200 feet, I'm going to harms, right? It doesn't sound like that. Don't do that in round. What you would say is, Judge, next I'm moving on to harms. My first argument is, specifically, labor rights are under attack by companies, CLW 2015. Judge, next, the United States federal government, or you might say, Judge, the plan text. The United States federal government should substantially increase its economic blah, 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 okay? Judge, my first solvency card is A, the Sullivan Principles protect fair wages, race, safety, unionization, ethical guidelines, and monitoring Lee in 2008. B, the U.S. can trade its partnership to ensure that companies in China adhere to labor relations laws, Bertless in 2001. C, this is a call to action. Human rights must be protected. This is a moral legal necessity. Gibney in 08. Okay, D. Okay, so what the signposting is the A, B, C, D. Some people don't like to use that. Miss T is one of those people. I don't like to say A, B, C, D because then if I get off somewhere and I miss one or I skip one, it's hard for me to explain on a flow again where I am. So what I would do instead, and I'm going to show you how to show this on your flow, when you are signposting in your speeches, one example of good signpost that you could use is simply next. You could say, Judge, my first argument on harms is, say your argument. When you're done, you say next. My next argument is, or you just say the word next, okay? Whatever it is, you decide what makes the most sense for you, okay? It's not like a given, like you have to say it one way or another, but you do have to be clear. On your flow, this is how it would look. And the reason, again, that you want to do it is it helps you stay organized. If I'm signposting, these little marks here, I could either put my A, my B, my 1, or my 2, whatever I'm going to use to keep order, but I have it here on the flow. If I hear next, if I'm a judge, I put a dash there because I know new argument, time to flow a new argument. And that is the key of the signposting. Okay, so why do we signpost? Why in the round or in the speech do I want to say next or A or B or C? Well, a couple reasons. One, it keeps you organized. If you are realizing that, okay, I was talking about the Candle Plan and now I'm somehow talking about the on-case arguments, if you're saying out loud to yourself, okay, my next argument is going to be inherency, or my next argument is this, Judge, in response to their last argument about, all of that signposting. So it just helps you stay organized. You know what you're talking about when you're talking about it. The other thing that it helps you do is help the judge stay with you. So again, during your speech, if the judge is trying to flow all of your arguments on a huge piece of paper like this, and you can see it's here, whoever did this flow, I don't know whose flow I'm using for this, but they do what I do. They put the little tick mark here to symbolize a new argument. Now, I don't know if the person said, next, I'm going to talk about, or next, my argument is, or A or B or C, but this person definitely was in a round where they were trying to keep track. If you say next, or you say A or B or C here, this helps that person know that that's what you're going to write. So the judge gets prepared. As soon as they hear next, they know, oh, a different tag is coming. They hear, okay, my next argument is, they know you're about to talk about something else, and it helps them get it down. Lastly, what it helps you do is keep track of yourself. If I am in the 1NC, sorry, and I took down my little notes up here, but let's say I'm in the 1NC, and I know I got to run 2 disads and get off case on 2 positions. Once I get halfway through my second disad and I'm saying next, right, or A or B or C, I can kind of say to myself, wait, you have a whole on-case position to go for. You need to cut this short and move it on. So it kind of helps you stay on track if you are also labeling and numbering the arguments that you are going to say during your speech. And then lastly, the thing that this helps you do is sort of keep your best arguments at the top. So as you're debating and you're saying to yourself, okay, I want to keep my best arguments front loaded. We're going to talk about a little bit about this in the next video, the block writing video. How do you write blocks and answers to things that you've heard? But those best 5 arguments should be first. That way, if you're listing, judge my A, my B, my C, my D, you know those are the best arguments that you have and they should be at the top. Okay. Now, what's the strategic value of signposting? Well, there are a couple of them. One, it breaks up the monotony of the speech. Sometimes we as debaters tend to take our debate papers and we pick them up and we square our shoulders and then we just read. And we stare at the paper and we just read and we just say, you know, all of the words that are on the paper, and we don't do a good job of actually delivering it to an audience, actually judging or engaging the judge in the conversation. So one thing Signpost does is that it keeps your judge engaged in what you're saying. Again, if I'm reading this stuff and I'm on harms and I've just read the harms, specifically labor rights under attack by companies right here in our backyard, CLW 25. The United States federal government should protect fair wages, race, unionization, ethical guidelines, and minor league 2008. The U.S. can see its trend. You see where if you're not a judge that's experienced, even if you are, it's hard to follow along with that. Whereas if I say next, the United States federal government should protect fair wages, race, and unionization, Lee in 08, insert reading the card here, and judge next, specifically labor rights are under attack by companies right here in our own backyard. CLW 2015, read the card there. Lastly, next, the U.S. can use its trade, this and that. So whatever word you put in there, whether it's next, A, B, C, or numbers, signposting really does help you break the monotony of the speech. It helps you keep your judge engaged longer because they're like, oh, next, that means I have to write something down. And it gives you a better chance of being victorious because you are going to help with what we call line by line refutation, which is, again, another video we're going to talk about. But it's the ability to take your flow sheet because someone has signposted and they told you what arguments are on there and actually go down the line by line and answer each argument. So it might. Lastly, what I like to remind you is if you combine the two, road mapping and signposting, what you do strategically is put yourself in such a much more organized position that the judge is going to have an easier job of figuring out why you should win the debate. And that's always your goal. Remember, any of the skills or strategies that we talk about are helping you help your judge make an easier decision for you. So remember, when you're thinking about signposting and when you're thinking about road mapping, you should be thinking about what's going to be clear for the judge. What is it that they can hear that I can say that will help me win? Okay. If you have any questions, don't forget to email me at tsmith@svudl.org, or you can follow our Facebook page or our IG page at SVUDL Debate, DB8, D letter B 8, okay? Either of those work. Remember, we have a workshop coming up this Saturday. I hope to see you all there. We did challenge ourselves to meet 100, so that's our goal. Your coaches, you'll have the workshop registration link. If you could actually go into that and fill it out before Saturday, so we know, one, if we have enough food, but two, we're going to put you in cohorts based on experience. That means that we need to know what your experience is before you come, so that when you come, you're in your group and you can go right into our stations.